Hi everyone, well we're off to a flying start today because I forgot to record my intro in which I'm telling you that I am now in this video trying every single shade of the Dior Forever Blush Soft Filter. I've also got the Nude Radiant filter in Fair and I've also got it in the Luminescent. So we're going to try all of these on today, and apologies for this terrible intro. Here we go. So I've got my makeup done, minus anything on my cheeks, minus anything set. So you can see I've got quite the glow going on right now. So I really need to set underneath my eyes and I need to set at least the T-zone. I won't be setting the cheeks here. Just for a note, by the way, I put an update, if you saw it, on my YouTube community post, and I put it on Instagram, about the Tom Ford Architecture Radiance. I've continued to play around with this and I've actually found a success with it. And I'm mentioning this now because this is the foundation I'm wearing today and I'll be using today to take on and off with all the blush applications. I just wanted to mention, in case you missed that post, I am having success with this. The way I'm having success with it is going back to my original way of making architecture matte work for me, which is to have the Bobbi Brown face base as my primer. I've still got my vitamin C, I haven't excluded it, so I've got my standard skincare routine, which is my milky toner, followed by my vitamin C, the Sam Bunting, followed by SPF. I didn't put anything else. SPF next, and then straight in with a Bobbi Brown face base, which actually has vitamin C in as well, but it never seems to argue with Tom Ford products for me. So I put that all over, and then what I did is just one pump on the back of my hand and then take little dabs of it all over the face, not quite using up the whole pump, leaving a tiny bit on my hand, and then start to rub it in with my hands and finish off with a sponge. And then take what's left from that one pump and just add it to the areas which are the cheeks in my case, where I just want to build a bit. And that is how I'm getting this base with the Tom Ford. And another reason why I wanted to mention that is I put this base on over an hour ago, and I can tell you now I haven't set anything because I'm waiting to test these new Dior powders for you. And every time I turn this is what happens. It sticks. And that is just one pump. So for me, even after an hour, it has to be fully set, which at the very end of this video I will be doing. So you're sort of seeing a second review here for the Tom Ford, because I have found a way to make it work, which I'm very happy with, but it is definitely too tacky for me. I can't stand the feeling. I've actually tolerated a full hour for you here because I did my makeup for an hour waiting for the delivery of my Dior. So now I can finally set it and start to feel a little better, but I will be leaving the cheek area unset, as I said. So I want to try these blushes directly onto the foundation, and for my final look I will powder over the cheeks and then try the blush on top of the powder so we can see how it works on both. So let's get stuck straight into the powders. So literally my Dior box has just arrived. So here it is. Nothing is open from it yet, so I just thought I'd show you just in case you want to see the packaging. So I didn't get one of their big white boxes, but I think that's because I chose not to. You can ask not to, it's just sort of saving a bit of cardboard. So freebie, which I've already had, I believe it was in my last, I think it's the same one, it is, yeah. If you saw my review of the new highlighters, the backstage ones, it comes with this. That's a nice little bag. I'm not going to open that because I'm going to give that to a friend because I've already got one of those. And then the other freebies, an aftershave. I always select an aftershave when it offers them for my husband. And then Rose Star perfume. I couldn't get more than one aftershave for him this time, so I got one for me. And then Dior Prestige Activated Serum. That's quite a good size one actually. I always pick these up, and I've always got some sort of Dior skincare in my skincare routine bag at night. So this is the little one. I've so far managed not to buy Dior skincare, but I seem to manage to use it quite a lot because they always offer these freebies. So I highly recommend getting these if you get the chance. And then the Prestige Eye Cream, which is so good. And I've just started one of these and they last me quite a long time. So they're good freebies. I'm not going to go into any details about it. You're not here for the perfume. But this is the Rose Star. Is there anything else? Just Rose Star? Anyway. Got a feeling it had Oud in it, which I don't like. But anyway, let's just see what Rose Star is like. Oh, yeah, it has got Oud in it. I do not like Oud. Oh no, that is so not for me. I'm not a Nude fan. If you are, you might like that one. not me. So let's get stuck straight into these powders. So I picked up the two powders. I've got the lighter shade in the ones where you can choose a colour, and then I've just got the other one, which is a single. There are no other options, but I won't go into details until we've actually got them out of the box. So I'll start with the Nude Matte Filter. So this one is £50. It comes in 6 shades: fair, light, medium tan, deep and medium tan. So I've gone for fair. So here is the packaging. This is the box, if I didn't show you properly. So this says Dior is unveiling its first setting powder with a radiant matte finish. So here is the fair here. This will give you a blur finish, an innovative filter effect that instantly blurs imperfections for a natural no makeup look, blending seamlessly into the skin, setting and enhancing makeup for 24 hours whilst controlling shine from morning to night. The complexion is even and your pores and imperfections are blurred out all day long. The perfecting pigments leave a silky, ultra lightweight veil on the skin, and it's infused with hyaluronic acid, which hydrates. So we're getting a radiant matte blurring finish, ultra fine barely there powder, light and buildable coverage, and then we have the skincare with the hyaluronic acid, and then we get the 6 tones. So we're going to look at this one first. I might as well get the other one out to show you because we're going to do them both side by side. So this is the Nude Radiant Filter, again, same name. This one is the translucent. So this comes up separately on their website, and the cover is exactly the same. I can't tell them apart. Exactly the same, so that's a bit annoying, but anyway. So this is 00 Luminescent, which you buy separately. So obviously this one's basically for everyone, I think the idea would be with this. So this one described, I think it's exactly the same description, to be fair. I don't think there's anything different in the description other than it's translucent, so there's no point in me going through that again. So let's try the translucent versus the fair, in case you're trying to figure out whether to go for that or go for the one that matches your skin tone. So I've got absolutely nothing set today. I do want to put a bit of bronzer down, powder bronzer as well. I feel like I look very mismatched without my lips done. I've just got a bit of liner, no blush and nothing set. So you can see the lights are really hitting on my shiny areas at the moment. So the first thing I'll do is set underneath the eyes, and for this I'll just fully zoom you in. So I've got my concealer in place, and I'm going to go with the T-zone area on both sides using both powders, and then at the very end when I set the blush I'll try it again at the end. So let's go with this one first. This has an extremely light fragrance for Dior, but it is the classic Dior fragrance, but it's very light, so I think it's going to be quite undetectable. Anyway, let's see how this is for under the eyes. Is that sitting in a cakey way? It's actually looking completely invisible to me. So if it's setting things down, is it blurring? It just looks completely invisible. Is that a good thing or not? I feel like I'm putting absolutely nothing on. Can't see a colour on my face, which probably means it's matching my skin tone. Let's see up here. If I set my forehead. I'll set all of my forehead today actually. I just moved my camera so you can see my forehead better. So this side is set now with this powder. Let's see if the tacky feeling is gone. Yeah, it has. So a lot of the shine and radiance is still there, but it is set. I don't know, I'm really confused by this at the moment because I'm just feeling like nothing's happening. So let's take it down the centre of the nose. You can see quite a big shine there. A lot of this shine though is going to be coming from the Tom Ford Architecture Radiance. And we do need to remember that this setting powder is a radiant setting powder, so it gives you radiance whilst it sets. That's probably what's confusing me actually, is it might be setting things and drying down so I don't feel tacky, but it does look smooth. I'm not too sure about the blurring element at the moment, if I'm honest, because I can still see all my pores everywhere. I don't really feel like it's made an awful lot of difference but it does give radiance. I'm not sure how I feel about adding radiance, because I think for me I prefer a powder that actually takes the radiance down a bit, especially when I'm using a radiant foundation. I'd like the T-zone to be less radiant than the rest, so I'm not sure if this works for me. I don't know. What do you think? So this side is set, and this side isn't. I certainly didn't think that the shade was in any way brightening under the eyes. I don't know if you picked up on that when I added it. It's not caking up, but I feel like I can slightly see the lines under my eye almost a tiny bit more on the side where the powder is. I don't know. A little bit underwhelmed, but this is a first impression, not a final thought, so please don't take this as my final thoughts. Please look for my end of month review. I'll keep using this and keep thinking about it. But let's try this one now. So this one is the Luminescent. Let's see if this one gives me a bit of brightness. I'm guessing this one is probably just going to be invisible minus the skin match. It could be a bit more brightening, I suppose. Well, I can see on this side that it is my skin tone. I don't know if that's coming across on camera. All I know is at the moment I feel hideous without any sort of bronzer and my eyes done. I need some colour, and these powders can't help me with that really. Is it blurring? When I use the Fenty, which is brightening and blurring, it's instant brightening, instant blurring. And the first time I used it I was just, oh wow, straight away. This one, it's taken down the tackiness, but I feel like it's done absolutely nothing else. And I am somebody who uses powder all the time, so I'm quite experienced with powder. This one is just not wowing me at all. What do you think? I really don't know what to make of those. Anyway, let's look at the two different sides. At the moment, I'm very underwhelmed, I have to say. So we have the Shade Fair and Luminescent. What do you think? Did you see any difference when I added it? It's kept the radiance, that's the promise it's made and it's done. And it's taken away the tackiness in my T-zone, it feels quite smooth. I didn't get enough here actually. What I'll do is I'll go in with the brush I always use for really finishing off powder and getting rid of stickiness, which is this one. And I'll use it everywhere apart from the cheek because I want to keep that powder free. So with the forehead, I will add a powder bronzer in a minute, just the forehead. Yeah, it's turning up a lot more when I use this brush because obviously it's picking up more powder. That looks better. That side definitely looks better. So let's now try the translucent, the Luminescent with this brush. All I can smell is that oud and I hate it. I hate it so much, and I've got a headache, so why did I do that to myself? But yeah, I think that does look better. That is better. I'm a bit happier with that now. But I still don't love them. But I like the fact that they're invisible. That's a good sign, that they're not detectable, and now my cheeks have lost that stickiness, so now maybe my hair won't stick to my face. Well, it still did there where I didn't set it. See, the Tom Ford is a nightmare for me. I have to set it. Anyway, that's it. We can go straight into blushes now. So I'll leave my cheeks completely bare and we will reserve judgment on these powders and say that they work. They seem to do what they say, but I'm not too sure about the blurring promise. But we will see. Look out for my end of month review, and anything in between I might give you updates. But as I always say as well, you can message me anytime in between now and the end of month review if you want a current update. I'd be more than happy to do that. So contact me on Instagram. I always reply. My Instagram is hand.beauty101. I just noticed there was another perfume sample in here. Maybe I could have had a nicer time. It's the one that came, if you know that one. I think I will put some, hoping it'll get rid of this horrible oud smell. Well, that's nicer. That's much nicer. Still not my favourite. It's quite a sort of spicy one. It's better than that Oud. Oof. So time to open all of these blush soft filters. So as I said at the beginning, I've got every single one of these shades. I just could not personally decide which shade I would want, and I could see all of you having that same dilemma. So I decided to take this rather big hit and buy them all, hoping it might help you. So I really, really hope that you find this helpful. And I'm really hoping I love this formula now I've got all of them. So here is the first one I'm pulling out. This one is number 4, Daisy. I'm going to group them together so that I can do side by sides and compare the most similar. So it says, discover Dior Forever Blush Soft Filter, the first Dior liquid blush that veils your complexion in a cloud of weightless colour, creating an instant filter effect. So this one is 01 Petal. So this has a cream to powder texture and blends seamlessly into the skin for an ultra sensorial application. This one's 07 Orchid, the one I'm most looking forward to trying because it reminded me of toffee, if you know the powder toffee. So it says, in an instant this will enhance your complexion with a radiant matte colour and a smoothing blurred finish. Sorry, I'm dropping the boxes on the floor there as I speak. The next one I've got out here is number 10, Fuchsia. This one is a scary shade for me, possibly way too deep. This is also enriched with hyaluronic acid, promising a weightless cloud of colour, 05 Lily. So this has a whipped cream to powder texture, which I'm really looking forward to because I love whipped formulas, and I have been loving, I haven't showed them to you yet, but I've been loving the Too Faced Cloud Crush whipped blush. Absolutely gorgeous. I do need to show you those at some point, but they can be used on lips and cheeks and they are so good. I love them. So I'm hoping I'm going to love these as much, if not more, because it's Dior. And Dior have been coming out with nothing but fabulous releases this year. I can't open this box right now. Yeah, I'm quite encouraged to spend this much money on all of these blushes because of how good the formulas have been so far. So here's one of the really scary shades for me. Funnily enough, it's called Oud, the fragrance I hate. And here it is, 08. It does look way too much for me, that one, but anyway, we shall see. So it says that this cream to powder whipped texture will transform into an airy powder, and the texture glides gently across the skin, leaving a veil of perfectly even and blended colour. And the next one I've got here is 02 Peony. I found another sample in there, another Oud, which I will not be touching. No, thank you very much. And then a Pro Collagen shot. Lots of freebies in this one. We have 03 Bloom, 06 Hibiscus, and 09 Violet. So lots of very scary looking strong shades here that could be way too much for me, to be honest, but anyway, we shall see. Quickly put a bit of bronzer on my forehead, add a bit of colour to my face before we add this blush, but I'm not going to add any bronzer. I've got no contour, no bronzer on my cheeks. It is completely bare, just foundation. So we can see what these blush shades look like with nothing else today. I turned my brightness up a little bit, hopefully that's okay. As you know, if you know my channel, I've been fiddling around with lights like crazy lately, trying to find the perfect setting. If you saw my Fenty video, that was pretty much perfect, but I wanted a bit more brightness on the face, which I think I had at the start of this video, but it was making everything dark and the side of my face dark, so I've just changed it again. Let me know how this video works. The problem is I never get to find out till I upload it to YouTube, because that's when everything changes. But anyway, let's hope for the best. Hopefully this is bright enough for you to see. If not, we will change them again. It's not difficult. I can keep messing around with it. So let's start now with the darkest. I think I'll start with the ones I'm most concerned about. Let's get the scary ones out the way. So this one's number 9 Violet. So there it is. Closer look at the doe foot. Oh gosh, this is going to be scary. I don't like the way this is swatching, but I'm sure it'll smooth itself out. Let me just see. Yeah. It does have that whipped creamy, if you know the Westman Atelier lipsticks, it has that sort of feeling. So I think it's going to be a question of being very careful how much I apply with this one. And the one I'm going to try by the side of it is a deep red. So this one is 06 Hibiscus. So there is Hibiscus. I think these have a slightly fruity smell to them. It's a little bit difficult with all the perfumes I've sprayed on me. But anyway, here is Hibiscus. This one swatched a bit more nicely actually. But again, super rich. I love this velvet texture. I think I will just do a quick comparison to the Too Faced, as soon as I've got it here. Which shade is this? This one is Bed of Roses. I've never even tried this one. I've just ordered this because I liked the first two I bought so much. I went back for more. I just want to see if the texture is the same, in case you've tried it and you're wondering. Here is Bed of Roses from Too Faced. Very, very similar texture, to be fair. Not quite as pigmented. And slightly more lightweight, I'd say. Not quite as thick as the Dior, but very similar. Very, very similar. So because of the depth of these shades, I am going to put them on the back of my hand and then apply from there. I probably will try it directly to the face with the lighter shades, but I don't want to do that with these ones because of their depth. So I've literally got this much of the Hibiscus, and I'm going to take my BK Beauty 109, pat it into my hand so it's become really light like this, and then let's see what we've got. Well, that was a lot friendlier than I feared, but I think if I'd have gone directly on for my skin tone it would have been a bit of a disaster. So that's a tiny little amount patted into my hand. You can see straight away it's going on in a very sort of matte way with a touch of radiance, I'd say. So bear in mind this is sitting now on top of a radiant foundation. So it definitely has that radiance without having that glow, which is really good if you've got mature skin, you're trying to avoid that glow. Well, that's gone on beautifully. It definitely has a sweet sort of slightly fruity fragrance, which is very pleasant, but you need to be aware of it if you're somebody who's bothered by fragrances. It's definitely there. It's very pleasant. I need to be careful not to take this into my eye because this is going to be taken off. Now this is the shade out of all of them that I thought would be the worst on me. I don't like these shades on me. I think I would take this down with something here. If I was going to use this for me, I think I would use this just on the upper section of the cheek and then mix it with another colour. So I will be playing around with these, and I will probably do that, say, with a lighter pink on this part of the cheek and then this shade at the top, because I don't like to have this depth of colour on this part of the cheek. You could really sweep it across the whole of the face and go for that sort of flushed look. I just think it's a bit too much for me, but the formula is looking absolutely brilliant. Really, really, really good. So I'm not applying these perfectly by any means, and I'm certainly not applying them the way I would choose to. This is really more about showing you cheek swatches and colours. Just for the very end I will work a bit harder on the finish. That'll be my final look. But let's now look at the other deep one. This is the 09 Violet. I'm going to use the same brush throughout and just give it a wash off on my microfiber cloth. So I'm doing exactly the same thing, working it into the back of my hand until it looks like this. And this is what the brush looks like. You can see there's quite a lot of pigment on the brush. Now let's start at the very top of the cheek so I do get less. Gosh, that one's a lot less depth. This one is probably going to be more suited to my skin tone because it's more of a cool tone. I like that. Wasn't expecting to like that. When you see a colour like that in a bottle and you've got fair skin, it does look too much, but look at that. Okay, I really like that, and that's a tiny, tiny amount. So I will build this up so you can see, I think, how it would look maybe on a darker skin tone. I'll do it with both actually, so you can see. It's going to look crazy on me, but it might be useful to you just to see the sort of depth, because obviously if you've got a much deeper skin tone to mine, you want to know, are these deep shades going to work? But anyway, that's how it looks on me. I think that's really nice, worked in properly. Like I say, I don't like these half finished looks, but these are very much cheek swatches. But I do think this shade works well on me. I don't think it's picked up my foundation. I say I don't think because I can see my freckles, but then, as I said with the Tom Ford, the only way I get that to work is by putting a very, very fine layer of it on. So I've only really got light coverage from the Tom Ford right now, so I probably already had my freckles showing anyway. You can see them in other areas. So there's that dab I've now put on. Can you see how it hasn't moved from where I've dabbed it? I did think it didn't swatch very nicely. It's a bit clumpy, but anyway, look, it's moved. So it's just a clump of sort of powder, because it is that cream to powder finish. So I think in some ways you might be better off mixing it into the back of your hand, so you know you've got a really smooth formula before tapping it onto the face. But you can see how just that tiny bit extra is starting to really pop now. So you can go up and up and up with this. I think you could get a very rich shade with that one. I'll do the same on the other side. One more tap of Hibiscus. I don't know why I'm acting so scared. I am taking this off. I'm not going out the door looking like this. But for some reason it terrifies me. I did wipe off the brush again then quickly in between. Just reassuring you I'm doing it. I won't keep repeating myself. But every time I switch I will be doing that, so we don't have any left on the brush. This one just seems to blend so much nicer. Hibiscus. But again, you can see it's really building, so it's looking like for deep skin tones these are going to be really good. But even with fair skin tones, you've seen how both of these with a very light layer work. Now I've got the clown look, I look horrendous, but anyway, hopefully that's helped show you. So this is how I would never wear Hibiscus and Violet. So I'll take them both off and we can do the next two. So I've taken those off. I forgot to tell you how it felt, but I'll double check again, but it didn't have a very tacky feel at all. It did feel like it was becoming like that powder formula they promise. The other thing I forgot to do is to try it on the lips, whilst it might not say you can. The Too Faced one says lips and cheeks and it works beautifully. So I will try it with one of these two. So now next up we've got two deep shades that are more browny. So I've got Orchid, the one I was dying to try that I thought reminded me a bit of toffee, even though it's a bit deeper than toffee, this one. I'm not going into comparisons because this is going to be a long enough video anyway, so if you want me to do direct comparisons between these blush shades and other blush shades, please let me know, I will do that. I might even do a toffee side by side if I think it's similar. Might do a shorts reel. But that's all going to be happening in the sort of few days time because I've got so much going on at the moment. But I promise you, if you ask for a comparison, I will get it done for you. And the other shade I'm looking at is the 08 Oud. So we have another super strong one. This is the last really, really deep one for me to try today. So let's try Oud first. So here it is. See how it comes out with these sort of chunks? This is what happened with the Violet, but again I will smooth it out. You did see when I got that sort of clump on my face, it does blend out, but you might just find it easier to get it blended out on the back of your hand before applying. It does take a bit of time. There, that's roughly smoothed out now. And now let's try Orchid. See, that one wasn't quite as chunky, was it? Slightly, but it's something to do with the really sort of, oh wait a minute, this was my next bit that came out. Let me show you this. Well, this is not great, I've got to be honest. That was the next bit that came out. It's a huge chunk. So obviously you can go back in with the dough foot and put it back in, but it's coming out very thick. I'm going to keep that on my hand rather than waste it. I'll go straight in with it, I think. Because I've got extra of the Orchid, that's the one I'll start with. That's how it's looking when I'm blending it out with my sponge. Look at the difference there. This colour looks so beautiful, like a browny terracotta, which I love. Definitely reminded me of toffee, this is. Oh, isn't that absolutely stunning? Oh, that is lovely. This was the one out of all 10. If I had to just put one in the basket and choose nothing else without having tried it, I think it would have been this one, because I know how much toffee had that effect on me. I just love it. And I think this is a nice shade moving into autumn as well if you've got fair skin. So it's quite a rich shade. I certainly don't need much at all, but isn't that beautiful? And yeah, I did say to you I would show you the dry down. I'd be surprised if my hair stuck to my face. There, see? No, and it did stick to the Tom Ford, it doesn't stick to this. So it's actually dried it down in a way that means I don't need to powder my face. So if you're going in on top of a slightly sticky foundation, rather than powdering first, you might find, like I've just found, you can go in with this and it does the job. It's not like, it doesn't feel like I've got powder, I suppose, but it also doesn't feel remotely tacky. It's a beautiful, beautiful smooth finish. It's really, really nice. And I definitely don't believe it's lifting anything underneath. The Tom Ford, by the way, I was able to take it off and reapply it without any problem. So at the moment it's performing very nicely. I did exactly the same thing by a tiny amount on both cheeks, rubbed them in, and then used the sponge to put the rest in, and it worked. So let's take a little bit more of this Orchid so I can build it up a bit for you. Again, really just showing you how these shades can be built up. This is obviously overkill for me now. It's gone at least 2 tones too deep for me. So if you go for some of these rich tones and you've got fair skin, these are going to last you a long time. Even though I think it's 6 months shelf life on the bottle. I didn't check that, did I? Well, I've just checked both bottle and box, and I cannot find a shelf life sign anywhere on these whatsoever. There's 11 millilitres of product, by the way, but I cannot find a shelf life, whereas the powders, which I also didn't mention, these are 12 months, so that's not bad, because a lot of Dior products lately have been 6 months, so I'd be surprised if these aren't 6 months. So if you do go for one of these rich shades and you're fair skinned and it is just 6 months, I'd probably just get one so you can use it a lot, because you're not going to need much. Even if you've got medium skin tone, you've seen I've just put a tiny bit. Now I know this isn't a nice application, as I keep saying, I would be taking it all the way up here. I just want to show you the shade for now. But applied properly and not as deeply, I think that that one is really, really nice. So I've got Oud still on my hand, but I don't know if it's dried down now too much for me to take any off. So let's see. I think it's still moving, yeah. So that's how it's looking with me taking the brush to it. So let's put some Oud here. So you can see the dry down is an instant because it's been on my hand all that time I've been doing the other side. Oh, this looks nice actually. These two, very nice. That is so much, oh, I would never in a million years have bought Oud. Look at that. A light covering of Oud is absolutely beautiful. I think that one's going to really suit cool skin tones. I love that. See if I can get a bit more off my hand. I say that because it really is starting to dry down to the powder on my hand. A little bit more. Oh, that is so nice. Look how smoothing and blurring and complementary this formula is. It's really, really nice and super easy. I mean, I was expecting this to be good. Dior have just been coming out with exceptional blush, highlighter, cream blush, stick blush, everything. It's just been so good lately. I think they are probably the brand of the year in terms of their launches this year, and this line is definitely right up there, I think, with them. So let me put some fresh Oud straight onto the face to show you it more built up. Again, I'm getting that issue where it takes quite a long time. I think these are definitely better off never straight to the face. Anyway, it does work out in the end. Maybe I could take a bit more. This time I will go on my hand. It's a very thick paste, it's quite surprising. Sometimes it comes out of the bottle less of a thick paste, but shaking it doesn't make any difference because it's so thick. Anyway, I'm working it into my hand, making it as smooth as I can before bringing it on now. Look how much easier that is. It's definitely the way forward. Oh, okay, so that's Oud slightly built up. A tiny, tiny touch of it on the back of my hand. That will give you an idea of the sort of shade you'll get if you've got a deeper skin tone to mine. They are both gorgeous shades. I really love them both when I don't look this bonkers, obviously, with a light cover for me. So anyway, these are the next two. What do you think? I think these are my favourites so far. Applied lightly anyway, not like this, as I keep saying. So we have the Orchid, Oud. What do you think? So now let's try the next two, and I managed to forget to try this on my lips again. Honestly, I'm driving myself crackers. Back-to-back filming of YouTube becomes obvious in my case because I get more confused and I get everything wrong, so I do apologise. Do you know what, maybe I should put it on the lips first so I actually remember. So the next two I'm trying, I have 02 Peony. So there it is. Again, see the chunk that's just come out? So blend it out. That's a nice colour, isn't it? Lovely. I've got 01 Petal. There's Petal. That is coming out so thick and weird. Look at that. I had to go back in because I didn't have enough. And then I ended up with this huge chunk again. I really don't like that part of this. They're a bit too thick and almost clay-like. These two are very similar. I think it's definitely going to be a question of one or the other with these two because there's not a huge difference here, is there? I'll smooth it out there for now to show you. And then smooth this one out a bit more at the bottom. They're not, this one's obviously a bit cooler. Not a massive difference. So the one that's just given me that massive chunk I'll start with, which is Petal. So let's put Petal straight on here. Oh, this looks nice. So this is the warmer of those two options I just showed you. Oh, that's lovely. I really like that. This is definitely more suited to my skin tone than any of the ones I've shown you so far because this one just immediately works without me thinking I need to do much. Obviously that's a light layer, so I will take a little bit more and take it on the top part of my cheek there. So just a little bit more and look how much more pigment I get. These are not messing around with pigment at all because this is the swatch on my hand. I've taken a tiny bit of it from here. And that's already way too much for me. So you really are not going to need much of these. I'm just quickly grabbing the Westman Atelier Petal because it's the same name and similar looking shades. I'm just curious really, but they are very similar. So that's Petal from Dior and this one's Westman Atelier. Pretty close, aren't they? If I rub it out. They are very close and they've called it Petal. That seems a little bit naughty. Let's put a little bit of Petal on my lips before I forget. Oh yeah, just like with the Too Faced, it works lovely on the lips. Smoothing, creamy. Because when I show you the Too Faced one, I was going to say this is one of the first products claiming to be lip and cheek that I really think is lip and cheek because it feels comfortable and works well on both. And whilst this is saying just cheek, I love that on the lips. It will definitely, because it's got the dry down to powder, it will need something. I'll see how it gets now as it dries because I would need to put some sort of balmy texture or a lip oil on the top. Anyway, let's move to the next one. So the 02 Peony, I've just put this much on the back of my hand and I'm going to work it in. So that was quite a lot really because it was 2 dabs, so I'm expecting a reasonable amount of payoff from that. And to see the difference between the two, I think this is definitely one of those ones where you're going to be thinking which one shall I get out of the two. And this is the slightly cooler of the two. On the cheeks, certainly on me, it doesn't look that much cooler. But then obviously on your skin tone it might. I do find with me for some reason, even though I've got predominantly cool undertones, things that say they're cool can often look a bit warmer on me when I add them. I don't understand what's going on there, but that's just the way it works with me. So there's Peony, or Petal. I think I prefer Peony, ever so slightly. I have over applied this one though, keep in mind at the moment Peony is the right level for me. This is how I would wear it, and that's how I would never wear Petal. So maybe if I didn't have Petal overdone, I might think that they're pretty level, but I think it does suit me better. I think because it's that little bit cooler, it probably does suit me better. I can see the difference between the two now. Can you see? It's quite slight, but it is there. So I'll add a bit more now to show you how it looks built up. Starting here on the top of my cheek. So this one is not building up to a crazy level. It's one of the lighter ones in the release, but it is building up. So this will definitely work on sort of up to medium skin tones anyway. Yeah, this one's my favourite out of those two. So what do you think of these? Petal which is on cheeks and lips right now. Or Peony. I think Peony, but still my favourite is the Orchid out of all of them, still, as I suspected. Let's take these off and move to the next two, and I think it's time I went and got a coffee, because I'm getting a bit... and my cheeks need a little 5-minute break, I think, so I'll see you for that. So I've got my coffee, hopefully keep me going, and we can do the last 4 now. So let's crack on. So now I'm going to move to the peachy orange shades, the lighter and the darker, so we can see these two side by side. My lips, by the way, are still feeling quite hydrated and not overly dry, so that's a good sign. So the lightest of these two is number 4, and this one is called Daisy. This is the one that's going to be better for my skin tone, I believe. So there's Daisy. Look at the way that comes out. That's not great, is it? Let me dip back in again. There we go. That's a bit better, but for some reason I'm not picking up a lot of product getting into this. I can almost feel resistance as I'm going in, like it's really thick and, I don't know, resisting coming out, like it's very, I don't know, it's a strange formula, this. Anyway, I've got a decent amount now. It just feels thicker, this one, thicker than usual, so I've got more of a clump of it now, I'd say. There. So let's take the 109 brush, work it into my hand, and take this straight here. That looks like the perfect amount for me. Definitely the perfect shade for me. So this is my summer peachy sort of shade. So again, if this probably be one I would buy for me, maybe not this time of year as we head into autumn, but if I was choosing to buy, at the moment it would be this one and it would be Orchid from First Impressions, because I think that works really well on my skin tone. That's gorgeous, that's absolutely beautiful. Let's try the deeper one before I do any over applying and it starts to look hideous. So the next one is number 3, Bloom. So there it is. I think I've got enough there. This one doesn't feel quite as pasty for some reason, but see, it's much, much deeper in skin, in pigment. So let's put this here. Actually, it's not, it's definitely more orange than peach, this one, on me. More warm and more pigment. Definitely more of an orange pop, but it still works on my skin tone, I think. That amount certainly does. But I prefer this. I think that one is a more sort of natural, pretty shade. I really like that one. So if you're fair like me, I would go with this one. Obviously it depends on your preference. So without me over applying, Bloom or Daisy, but I will now over apply so you can see if these can be built a little bit. Well, I would imagine if you've got a deeper skin tone, you'd probably just be going for this one rather than this one. But at the same time, let's see. So this is now taking it more than I would choose. Still looking quite good actually, so depending on preference, but obviously it can be built. It's not going to become superbly pigmented. Definitely buildable. And even when you build them, by the way, they don't have any sort of tackiness. They're still giving you that dry down. So the only problem I've hit with them is how they come out of the bottle. But as long as it's on the back of your hand, it's not an issue at all. So I wouldn't call it a problem because that's how I like to apply it. But straight to the face, if you like to apply it that way, I don't think it's that good. So I've got more of Bloom. This is the one that's probably going to look really crazy on me now. Yeah. See how much more of an orange that is compared to the soft peach we get with this one? So again, if you've got medium to deep skin tones, this one is going to be a nice pop of orange for you. Fair to light, maybe even light to medium, this one I would go with. I don't know about light to medium, obviously I don't know because I'm a fair, so I'm guessing, but I'm guessing that's how it would work. If you've tried any of these, please do let us know in the comment section which shades are working on your different skin tones, because it's always helpful to other people. But anyway, what do you think of these two? Daisy or Bloom. I've got a funny feeling I was calling this Petal just now. I don't know if I did, but I am starting to lose my marbles. So if I've got names wrong in this, editing me is probably going mad trying to fix it on screen, but hopefully not. Anyway, we are on to the last two, so hopefully I can just about get to the end without making any more mistakes. But which one do you prefer? This one is definitely a standout for me. I love this one. So now to finish with two pink shades, comparing a much deeper rich pink and a lighter one here. So we have 05 Lily. That looks really pretty. I have a feeling this will be in my top three. Let's blend this out a little bit. Oh, that is really pretty. And then we have number 10 Fuchsia, which is much brighter and possibly a bit warmer. I don't know. Let's have a look. Whoa. It's just the brighter version of this, I think. Take a little bit of that piece there. Huge difference in pigment between these two. Huge. So I'm going to look very different on both sides for my final look. Oh well, hopefully nobody knocks the door today. Let's start straight away with this fuchsia because I got a big chunk of it again come out there with that swatch. So here is the bright fuchsia. And that's wearable actually for me. It is wearable. That's something I found to be quite surprising about this whole collection. And I did think that from looking at the pictures on the Dior website. They did show them on different skin tones, and I thought, I've got a feeling if I get all 10, I think all 10 could be wearable. Now it certainly needs to be calmed down. This time I'm going to take it into the eye and I'm going to bring it up here a bit the way I always do with a blush, and I'm going to finish the look. I'm not going to overbuild this. This overbuilt really is going to cause me problems by the way I look today. So I want this to be more of how I would choose to wear this, which definitely means calming it down, but I'm going to go in with that powder if you remember, so I'm thinking that might be the best way to start with calming this down. So it is wearable, but I need to probably go for an even tinier amount. I mean, I didn't go with much there, but I would like to sweep this across the nose a bit, but I'll just go halfway because I'm going to do the other one. Before I go in with the powder, I think what I'll do is go around with my foundation sponge around the edges. That will give it an initial soften. There we go. Yeah, that's wearable for me now, isn't it? So there you've seen it when it was built up and you've seen it when it's calmed down. And that's actually a very pretty wearable shade on me. So now let's try the other one. So 05 Lily, the one I'm expecting to be in my top three. Let's see if I'm right. And hopefully I won't need to calm this one down because it should be perfect for my skin tone. There we are. It is absolutely perfect for my skin tone, which is what you want really. You don't want to have to work so hard to calm things down. I certainly don't. So if I was choosing to buy one, I wouldn't choose to buy this because of the work involved. Not that it takes hours, but you know what I mean. I'd just rather a blush that you just go, oops, done. And that's pretty much it. And that's what I'm getting with these when I go for the right one for my skin tone. And this certainly is. It's a very, very natural flush of pink for me, that. I love that. Really good. Definitely in my top three. So let's bring it up to the nose halfway. Just a little tiny bit with what's left. That is really, really pretty. And you can see that little flush of a glow. Look at my hand. But anyway, you can definitely still see a bit of a glow. Like I said, remember I do have a radiant, oh I shouldn't do that. I do have a radiant foundation on and I haven't set anything. So this is, sorry I've got a mint in my mouth. This is how it looks before being set, which you probably wouldn't want to do anyway, but with a radiant foundation, so it's almost doubling the radiance. And also the setting powder I used around the perimeter, around the edge rather, is a radiant setting powder. So we are going to go in with a setting powder, but again remember it's a Radiance setting powder. So I did say I would show you this at the end and then put a bit of the blush on the cheeks on top of powder, because maybe you like to powder your whole face before you go in with your blush, or like me, you might want to put it first, powder, then blush, because that locks the blush in for the whole day. So that's what I always do pretty much on a daily, not just when I want it to last or if it's a special occasion, because I like my makeup to look pretty much the same when I go to bed, and it's just become habit for me now. So I'm going to take the two powders that we were looking at earlier and set the rest of my face. So I'm going to start with the shade Fair, and I'm going to use this brush now. I am tapping off, but I don't really need to because it's certainly not a particularly chalky, overly powdery finish. You can definitely see the difference there. It's giving it a lovely softness. This is where you get to see the powder in effect. And to be honest with you, when I saw these, I was thinking more finishing powder. And now I've just seen this, I think it is definitely a good finishing powder. Look how that has softened it without taking away the radiance. That is really, really, really nice. Under the eyes, I'm not convinced at the moment. But like I said, let's not decide yet, because I did have my makeup on for a full hour beforehand. It's my first impression, but for the rest of the face, pretty good, but mostly for that finishing touch, which is how I'd be using it. It is described as it can set your makeup and it can lock in your makeup, so it's supposed to be used for everything. It didn't mention under the eyes in the description actually, but it doesn't look terrible under my eyes. But I definitely didn't feel it blurred, but on the cheek there I thought that was really nice. So let's now take this one. This one is the Luminescent. So hopefully I'll get a similar finish, minus that skin tone that I got from the Fair here. I definitely prefer the Fair. So it's setting it, but it's blending in with my skin tone using the Fair, which it's not doing on this side. So I think it is good to match your skin tone from looking at them. I would choose to do that. I would skip this one. But if you can't match your skin tone, if one of the shades doesn't work for you, and I haven't actually said, I'll pop a picture up now of the 5 shades. I'll do that now while I think about it so you can see all of them. I think it was 5. If you don't see one you think will work for you, this would be your option. And it's still giving a very similar finish. And I didn't have a sticky face anyway, apart from where a bit of my foundation wasn't set. But as I said earlier, the blush has pretty much set my foundation because it has that ability. Anyway, my face feels very smooth and soft. So let's now test these on the cheeks on top of powder. So this was the side where I put Lily, the lighter of the two. So let's put a little bit, I've just put a tiny bit on the back of my hand, and it's going on beautifully on top of the powder, beautifully. So flexible. I'm saying that though with every single liquid or cream blush I'm testing lately, they all seem to do it. It's not unique, but it's worth testing just in case it doesn't. But it's not lifting the powder, it's blending with the powder, it's working very nicely. I will actually take a bit of the Fair powder and put it on my nose where I put that blush, just to sort of soften the red from the blush I put there. That worked very nicely as well. So I want to take a little bit of Lily on my lips. I actually took my lipstick off. So it's pretty much my lip colour, that's why it's my perfect blush colour. Oh, that's nice on the lips again. But I do think within about half an hour I'll be reaching for a lip balm. I do think it would be a bit too drying eventually. But that's the case with lots of things for me, so that's not an issue. It's not quite as hydrating as the Too Faced one though, I have to be honest. That one is slightly more hydrating on the lips. So now with Fuchsia, I'm going to be quite careful because if you remember I had to really calm Fuchsia down, so I'm taking a minute amount off the back of my hand. We'll add some here. And hopefully this is going to show how it can be more wearable if I'm careful. So minute amount on top of powder, very pretty. Honestly, I genuinely think if you just have a tiny little bit on the hand, every single one of the 10 is going to work for you if you're fair skinned anyway. If you've got deeper skin tones, maybe the lighter ones won't be so good. I can't speak for you obviously, but I would imagine not possibly so good. Unless you were going for two-tone, you have your deeper shade at the top and you want one of these light ones just for the lower part of the cheek. They are both lovely. The only problem I would say is if you go for the lily, you're going to have less build-up. If you want to go for more of a pop, you could go for fuchsia because you can have it at this amount of pigment, or you can have it for a really deep pigment, which is what we saw at the beginning. But this is the finished look with both of these. I'm actually struggling to decide which one I prefer now I've seen it on top like that with a light bit with fuchsia. They're almost a tie, but because of the ease of application and the completely perfect match to my lips and skin tone, I think it would be Lily would be my favourite. What do you think? Let's pop a tiny bit of that fuchsia on my lips in the middle. Oh, that's nice. Lovely. So there we go. We've tried them all. I've got there. I made it to the end and I've just got a tiny bit of my coffee left and I haven't managed to mess it up too much, I think. So when I went for my coffee, I did dig out Toffee, the Dior stick. I know I said I wouldn't, but I will just quickly because I'm so curious about Orchid, the one I said is my favourite. So let's look at Orchid with Toffee. Toffee is more peachy and lighter than Orchid, so they're not the same. Toffee, there's Orchid. I was way off there, wasn't I? They're in the same family, but they're a few cousins apart there, I think. Anyway, so it's not the same as Toffee. Toffee is so much lighter. I had in my mind that it was deeper than that. Anyway, there we go. But I still loved Orchid. So my top 3 out of these 10 would definitely be Lily, which we've just seen here, Daisy, which was the lighter of the peaches, and then Orchid. Well, not necessarily in that order actually, but these are my top 3, depending on what makeup I'm wearing that day and what mood I'm in. I do need to be careful with Orchid, but I still loved it. So those are my top 3. And as for the powders, I think so far, as you've seen really, that it's going for my skin tone. The Fair as a finishing powder is how this is going to be the best powder for me. So I've been using the YSL finishing powder, it's been on my desk all year, or I've been using the Charlotte Tilbury, the pink one that came in that heart shape, if I'm mixing with a pink blush to make it finish and have that beautiful edge. So this is how I'll be using it, I think, but I will continue to try both everywhere and let you know. I will do that for the rest of this month. I will abandon my beautiful Fenty under eye powder for a short while, and I will abandon everything else and just use these 2 so I can give you a more comprehensive roundup at the end of the month. But certainly as a finishing powder, this one, I thought it was gorgeous. You saw the way it worked. I think it's really nice. And as for these blushes, I think the formula, it's a little bit weird in the way it comes out with as a thick clay. I think that is a bit odd, but it's not an issue. But I do think it's an issue if you put a clump of it onto your face. So just onto your hand or a mixing palette, mix it in nicely so it's nice and smooth. You've got that really smooth finish, which takes a few seconds. It's not difficult at all. And then straight on the face, and then beautiful. And it worked really nicely on top of foundation. You've just seen how it works nicely on top of powder. Every single one of the 10 can be built up. They can be calmed down if you want to have a lighter look with one of the deep shades. All 10 shades worked for me, I think, with care. Don't judge me by the double amount when I built it up. That is not how I would wear it. I think you saw with each of the 10 how I would wear it, which was that initial application, which shows how each of the 10 will work. And I think it feels very nice because again now there's no powder sitting on top here, and I can show you with the hair test. There's no way that's sticking to my face, and you saw how it actually sets the Tom Ford, which is sticky on me. So the Tom Ford was good news as well, by the way. That was that little addition if you didn't see my note from yesterday, but the Tom Ford is now working really well. And I'm gobsmacked that I've changed my makeup 5 times in this video, and every single time I've removed my Tom Ford and put it back on, which means it's meeting a bit of powder and other things on the edges, and it still works. And that's a sign of a good foundation. So it shows that that light application with a sponge turns that foundation from a complicated, tricky foundation to a good one. If you want to go for light coverage, it did work. So that is very encouraging. And also the way I finished my look though is I did actually go in with my Bobbi Brown face base, then the foundation, to make sure it sits really nicely. I actually took everything off from here all the way down and redid all that section. and it worked very well. So that was a bit of a good update for the Tom Ford Architecture Radiance. But this review is all about Dior today, and I'm very, very pleased. The powders, like I said, not necessarily doing everything they promised for me at the moment, but you never know, I might change my mind on that, let's see. I would love to see what you think about the powders. I did have my lighting a bit darker when I first put them under the eyes, so I worry that you won't be able to see it as well as you have now, but anyway, this constant trial of lighting continues, but I think it's getting better. I hope so. I really hope this today. I did think yesterday was good with the Fenty review, but I wanted my face a bit brighter. The background was brighter, but I felt my face could have been a bit brighter, so that's what I'm aiming for today. So do let me know if it still looks dark on iPads, iPhones, where we do get different. It does tend to look so much warmer than on the TV. But anyway, the Dior review, fabulous. I was expecting nothing less than fabulous. Dior are coming out with nothing but winners, and this blush formula is fabulous. I can see me reaching for this all the time. I would happily probably ditch a lot of blushes in my collection. My favourite blushes of the whole year so far have been the glow stick from and the Backstage powder, especially in toffee. I loved it, and in the pink I loved it, and now I can add this as well. And I'm looking forward to trying out the Backstage powder with this and playing with the two together. I think that's going to be great fun, so I will definitely try combinations, and again I will film shorts if I come out with good combinations I think work. I will show them to you on shorts reels when I get the chance. I keep saying that because my workload is just phenomenal at the moment, but and we haven't even had the Christmas launch come yet, but it just feels like I've got about a million ideas, a million different shorts to do, and not enough days. But anyway, and I definitely need a couple of days off YouTube because I can feel myself making mistake after mistake, which is a sign I need to stop. But anyway, hopefully we've had this run of Fenty, Dior, Dior, Chanel, just straight away in 24 hours available in the UK. So I've gone through all of those launches, and I can take a couple of days hopefully off. And I do have another video going out that's already recorded, so you shouldn't see too much of a gap. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and I would love it ever so much if you did enjoy it, if you hit the like button. And I would also love it ever so much if you comment below with any of your thoughts from today. I really do love to chat to you about everything I've tried and hear all of your thoughts. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much for being here again. I really appreciate every single one of you. And if you're not subscribed, I really do hope that you do subscribe. I would love it if you did. And I really hope to see all of you again for my next video, hopefully when I'm a bit less because I feel like I've been useless today. Anyway, I will see you again soon. Take care everybody. Bye.